everybody. Welcome back to the Steve Freeman podcast. I am, of course, your host, hit songwriter, multi-platinum selling record producer, a serial entertainment entrepreneur, esports lover, car collector. I just love it all. I love absolutely everything. Although my problem is that it's hard for me to find a passion because I want to turn everything into a business. And those of you out there that are hardcore entrepreneurs, you know exactly what I'm talking about. We find an excuse to turn everything into a business. Yes, it is the middle of summer. I'm wearing a sweatshirt today. I apologize. I've got it a little too chilly here in the studio today. I want to remind you, if you are watching on YouTube or Twitch, or you're listening to the audio version on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or Google Play or iHeartRadio, please do me a favor and subscribe. Make sure that you have notifications turned on so that every time I upload a new episode of the Steve Freeman podcast, you get notified and you can engage with us, because it is a great thing having you here. If you are, do me a favor. If you are listening on Apple Podcasts, please leave a rating and leave a review if you would. All that stuff matters. We're moving up the rankings in new and noteworthy, and the selfish part of me wants to be at the top. Who doesn't want to be at the top? But to get there, I need your help. I need those ratings. I need those reviews. We've got 5 stars right now. We want to keep it. If you think that what we're doing here is absolutely not valuable at all, don't do it. Don't leave a star. But if you do, give us a 5-star rating and jot down a quick comment if the podcast is being any help to you whatsoever. Speaking of being helpful, I also want to, a ton of you have done it this week, which is awesome. I would love for you to sign up for my free weekly newsletter, The Revolution. It's tips, tricks, advice. It's really more personal than anything. I can go into a little bit more depth and cover a lot more topics than I can with 3 episodes of the podcast per week. It's absolutely free. I'm not taking your email address and selling it off, unless somebody offers me a lot of money, and then we might sell that list. No, I'm just joking. I'd never sell your information. It's absolutely free. It's called The Revolution, and it comes to you at least once a week, every Monday morning, for sure, full of tips, tricks, advice on entrepreneurship, on music business, and sometimes it's just life stuff in general. Guys, thank you so much for being with us today on the Steve Freeman podcast. The topic of today's podcast is the music business treadmill. And as I look out over social media, and even working with some of the artists that I work with through the artist development program, the reason that they come to me is because they get stuck. And I wonder how many of you guys get stuck. Do you feel like you're doing a lot, but you're not getting a lot done? If so, then you're on the music business treadmill. One of the things that I want to do, I also want to open this up, and there may be some of you listening that don't have anything to do with the music business, but you come to the podcast for motivation, ideas, and tips and tricks on just how to grow your business overall. I want you to think of, when we talk about the music business, I want you to put whatever it is, the industry or business that you're in, put it in that slot. So you could be on the t-shirt sales treadmill. You could be on the real estate treadmill. You could be on the car sales treadmill. For today's purposes, we're going to call it the music business treadmill. And it's like I said, do you ever get that feeling where you're doing a lot, but you're not getting a lot done? That's what I call being on the treadmill. You get up every day, you think you're putting forth this amazing, valiant effort to move your career and your success forward and meet those goals and objectives that you've set out there for yourself, but you don't ever feel like you're actually getting closer to those goals and objectives. You keep trying really hard. You keep grinding really hard. You keep hustling. I see on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and all these other places all the time talk about keep hustling, keep grinding, keep doing this. And that's important. Hustle is important. Grinding is important. Doing your part is more important now than ever. But are you just doing to do? Or are you literally getting up every day, placing yourself on the road and walking one direction or the other towards your goal? Are you actually gaining ground, or are you on a treadmill? I have found through over 25 years in the music business and just business overall that I've broken people down to pretty much 3 categories. And they're this. 1, you think you know what you're doing, but you really don't. 2, you don't know what you're doing, but think you do. And 3, you know what you're doing is wrong, but you don't know how to fix it. In today's podcast, I'm going to run through and talk about each one of those points. And I think it's important for you to have an honest conversation with yourself and go, okay, which one of these 3 types of people am I? Which of these 3 types of artists am I, or songwriters, or business owners, or real estate agents, or car salesmen? It doesn't matter. I found professionally that everybody falls into one of these three categories. Let's talk about the first one first. Number 1, you think you know, but you don't. I know in the music business, I see this one more so often than everything. I see, and how I track these is over time. I see a lot of artists post on social media. We've recorded a new song or a new EP. We've got a new video and we're putting both of them out. And then 3 months later, we've got a new single, a new EP, a new video. And it's just a process that continues to go around and around and around. But again, they're on the treadmill. They think they're doing the right thing because they get up every day and get on the treadmill, but they're not really moving forward. They're doing a lot, but they're not getting a lot done. These type of people, you think you know what you're doing, but you don't. If you find yourself that you are one of these types of people, the first thing you need to do is get off the treadmill. Realize that you're not really going anywhere. You're running really fast, but you're running in place. That is a hard realization to come to, and I'm not saying that that's easy, because that requires us to look deep within ourselves and admit that some of the time we've spent on this journey thinking that we knew what we were doing was wasted. There's some people that tell you that that time was wasted. I'm not one of them. I think that everything we do leads us to our goal in one way or the other. You're learning, or you're gaining experience, or you're getting better in front of the camera, or you're getting better behind the microphone. Your vocals are getting better. Every time you sing, your voice is a muscle, so it's getting stronger. So there are benefits to being on the treadmill. You're still going to get fit. You're still going to lose the weight, but you're not going anywhere. If you're this first type of person, take a hard look at yourself. Once you identify that you think you know what you're doing, but then you admit to yourself, I really don't know what I'm doing. I'm doing what other people have told me to do. I'm looking around at my competitors and competition, and I'm seeing that this is what they do. So I'm implementing that into what I'm doing, thinking that if I do what they're doing, I will have similar results. That is all the wrong line of thinking, but that falls under being that type of person that thinks you know what you're doing, but you don't. Admit that to yourself, and then you've got to do one simple thing. You've got to go find what it is that you need to be doing. There are a lot of different ways to do that. I like to think that I'm one of these ways. My podcast and my artist development company, and this is where you get into a lot of people have problem. Oh, it's all people like you, Steve, pushing your programs and pushing this and pushing that. I will be the first one to tell you, I don't care that if you use me or you use somebody else. You've got to find the program and the help that is right for you to turn your situation from thinking you know what you do into knowing what it is that you're doing. But I also believe that a key ingredient in that is investing in yourself, investing in your career. We've talked about this in the past. Again, let me say, I'm not pitching my services. I don't care if you use me or not. Do I know what I'm doing? I absolutely know what I'm doing, because I've taken artists from the bottom all the way to the top. I've written hit songs. I've produced multi-platinum records. I know what it takes. But let me tell you, I've said this before, but I want to make this very clear. I don't ever tell people that I know what I'm talking about because I'm so successful. That is not at all the case. And I want you to listen very carefully. The only reason that I have the knowledge that I have, and honestly, the success that I've been fortunate enough to be able to have, is because I went down every single wrong road possible. I made every wrong decision. I now help artists navigate that because I've been there. I know what doesn't work. I've spent money there. It didn't work. I've done it. I had a record label where we spent hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars doing what the major label system said you had to do to be successful, even as an independent label. We did all that. It didn't work. When we did find what worked, and when I found what worked as an artist developer, somebody that works with artists and literally helps them find what works for them, and what actually gets them moving down the road, which is unique to everybody, by the way. There is no one music business blueprint to follow to success. Every artist is unique. Every approach is unique. But I know, based on my failures, and there have been thousands of them, far more failures than success stories. But each one of those failures taught me a lesson. And when artists come to me to work with me, whether it's in an artist development capacity or to write with them or to my company to shoot a music video for them, in any of the services that it's purely from knowing what to do, because I spent the money and learned what not to do. I learned every lesson the hard way. Sometimes that is even more valuable than these people that that I know, that it seems like no matter what they do, they just constantly shit bricks of gold. It looks that way from the outside, but it's not. Failure is real and it is going to happen. I just told my cousin last night who's in town. Short story. Sorry, I get off track, but I think this is important. He is going to the Boston Conservatory for musical theater. He's extremely talented, one of the most talented people I've ever been around. Some of you may know him. His name is Peyton Justice. He was one of the largest Vine creators. Shortly into the Vine, he had over 500,000 followers on Vine, millions and millions and millions of revines, whatever they were. I wasn't into Vine at the time, but he was constantly invited to VidCon as a creator, featured creator. He's an amazing kid, and he's 20 years old. So now he's in the Boston Conservatory studying musical theater. He just wrote all the music for this play that was put on by the theater at the Boston Conservatory to absolutely rave reviews. He was also sharing that he's not learning what he feels like he wants to be learning in school. So he came into town this weekend and he wanted to sit down with me and say, what should I be doing? And I told him honest advice. You're doing a lot, but you're not getting a lot done. So we sat down last night and we talked about all of these different things. Who knows? He may even take a sabbatical from college and come work with me, stay with me, and get him on track for a year. And I think it would be great for him. He was on top of the social media mountain. My daughter's friends in school, when they find out that he's their cousin, they freak out. We've been in the mall. People stop him and ask to take pictures with him. But he fell into that first category. He thought he knew what he was doing, but he didn't. But he's also smart enough to go, okay, let's sit down. Let's take a moment. Let's take a breather, step off of the treadmill and think, how can I course correct? And how can I go from being somebody that thinks they know what they're doing to somebody that actually is doing and knows exactly what they're doing and knows how to turn those things into results? Like I said, a lot of things come into factor there. The investing in yourself, investing in your career. Again, I don't care if you use me or not. I'm very picky with who I work with, to be quite honest with you. Out of 50 people that contact me about working with them, I work with maybe 2 or 3 of them, maybe. Because it's important to me what I put my name on. But there are a lot of different services out there. There are a lot of different people out there. There are a lot of different resources out there available to somebody, if that's you, if you're this type 1 person, to step off of that treadmill and get the resources you need to find out what it is that you actually need to be doing to get yourself on the right path. Now, the second type of person is the type of person that you don't know what you're doing at all. You think you do, but you really have no clue what you're doing. I see these people all the time. I get email messages from them all the time. I get DMs on Instagram from them all the time. And they will admit, I think I don't know what I'm doing. Let me just put that out there. I don't know what I'm doing. I kind of think I have an idea, but I don't. If you're this type of person, then education is everything. And no, I'm not talking about music business school. I'm not talking about audio engineering school or some sort of certification. That is not the education I'm talking about. If you are a creative, a content creator, songwriter, producer, audio engineer, even small business owner, yes, it's important that you know how to communicate effectively, and some of that is taught through traditional education, school. Most of the time, however, I believe in the school of hard knocks. I didn't go to college, so I don't have a basis or a reference to go, this was great. What I do know is that everything that I've learned and the success that I've been able to achieve was coming and still comes to this day from having a degree from the school of hard knocks. Again, doing it wrong and failing time after time after time after time until you get it right, because that's the best education overall. So if you find yourself in that situation where you are this type 2 person that just doesn't know what they're doing, you need to yourself get off the treadmill, because you're not going anywhere. You're just doing, again, you're doing a lot, but you're not getting a lot done. You need to educate yourself. Again, that may require some investment on your part. And it's funny, people don't have a problem. My kid's going to UCLA. And it's like, we've been looking at the tuition, and it's like $70,000 a year. People don't bat an eye when it comes to investing in your career, when it comes to investing in college or investing in this or investing in a home. If you want a successful career in anything, you are going to have to invest in yourself at some point. You're going to have to invest in that journey. If you want to get to point A to B, you're going to have to invest in a car to get there. And you're going to have to invest in the fuel to put in the tank to get there. If you want to get from Nashville to Los Angeles and it not take 3,000 years, then you've got to buy a plane ticket. You've got to invest in a plane ticket, because flying's a hell of a lot shorter than driving. Some people value the drive. What I find in most artists is that you want it really bad, but more than wanting it really bad, you want it right now. I find that with a lot of business owners too. There's a big saying that goes around Nashville, a 10-year overnight success. I don't know if it's 10 years. I've seen it take that long, quite honestly. I've worked with one particular artist for over 7 years before it happened. And I have found that from the time that you start paying your dues until the time where it really starts paying off, honestly, I've noticed that time period being around the 7-year mark. If you can't commit to that, then that's something you need to admit to yourself right now and not even step into the ring. Don't even get started. Success in anything is going to require persistence, consistency, and a willingness to sacrifice. Sometimes that sacrifice is financial. That sacrifice is time. That sacrifice can come in many different forms. And you've heard all the stories. I mean, there's an artist out right now, Jimmy Allen, when he moved to Nashville, was living in his car. Years later, fast forward, he's had a #1 record. So nothing happens overnight. But if you're this type 2 person and you don't know what you're doing, don't just copy what other people are doing. Don't look at somebody else's results and think that if you do the same thing, those results are going to be the same for you, because that couldn't be further from the truth. Like I said again, my problem with what a lot of artist development companies and artist development people in Nashville and LA, what they preach is this one model. I have a problem with that philosophy because I've never ran across two of the same artists or two artists that have the exact same goal. Sure, some of them have a lot of general, and even you too, listening or watching today, you've got, a lot of you share the same goals. You want to be successful. You want to play stadiums. You want to sell merch. You want to have a television show. You want everybody to know your name, all that. Sure, those goals are the same. Those are unifiers, and that's kind of a cloak that covers everybody that wants to be successful in anything. But I don't believe in this thing of creating a model that if you follow, no matter who you are, how unique you are, what your personality is, what your art is, what your creation is, or that it all fits into following this one mold in this one program. I don't believe that. I think everybody's path is different. So if you don't know what you're doing, you've got to find, you've got to find that path for yourself. And sure, there are people out there that can help you find that path. But I think even in that process, it is important that you find the right person. See, people don't believe me when I say this, and it's, I don't know why. I guess they think we're just all out for the money. Maybe that's what it is. And that's, in all honesty, that's probably exactly what it is. But I only believe in working with people that, number one, I believe that my methodology and what I bring to the table, my style, is going to benefit them. I don't take on projects for the money, because that is always the wrong reason to do anything. And I'm talking even when people contact me about producing their records, I turn people down all the time. Not that I don't appreciate them as artists or that I don't think that what they have to say or what they want to do is valuable. It's just not something that I'm interested in. It's not something that I can get behind and that I'm passionate about. So I think it's important that if you don't know what you're doing, get off the treadmill and then educate yourself. And then find people by investing in yourself, investing in your career. Find those people that you can create a team of that are passionate about what it is that you are currently, what you're doing currently, and who you want to become and what you want to do in the future. It's probably the most valuable thing that you can ever do. So get off the treadmill, figure out what it is that you need to be doing, and realize that your path is not somebody else's path. Just because you're doing what other people are doing does not mean that you're going to have their success level or their failure. You're your own person. Figure out what it is that you need to be doing and apply that strictly to you. What works for you with your voice, your message, your purpose, your brand. Now, the third type of person is you know what you're doing, but you know what you're doing is wrong and you don't know how to fix it. These are the most difficult types of people to work with. You know what you're doing. And this is not a thing where, you think you know, but you don't. No, this is, you know what you're doing. You have the keys. You may have a team around you that's helping you. You may have done all these other things that I've talked about in assembling a team and investing in yourself and getting on the right path and being unique. You're on that, but it's not working and you don't know how to fix it. This is a tough place to be, and it's a tough person to be, because as creatives, we generally don't like to take a look at our art and our creation and go, okay, this isn't resonating with anybody. This isn't working, because we feel that it's a reflection on our work, that it's a reflection on us personally, because we don't separate our creativity from us. So we're one and the same. Sometimes you may know what you're doing, but what you're doing is not resonating with the people that it needs to resonate with in order to gain, and maintain a following, an engaged fan base, the attention of a publisher, the attention of a record label, independent or major, or a booking agent, manager, any of those things. You may be applying the basic principles right, and you may be moving forward, but you're not going anywhere. The most important part of that third type of person is that you don't know what to do to fix it. The first step in knowing what to do to fix it is admit that you don't know publicly. And when I mean that, I'm not saying, hey, get on Facebook or get on social media and go, I'm lost, I don't know what to do. Most of us are too selfish to do that. We don't like to admit to people when we're wrong. But what I mean that is admit that to yourself and go, okay, I'm doing this, that, and the other. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing, but it's not working. Maybe that's when you've got to sit down and think, let's put this in terms of music. Maybe the style of music that you're creating is oversaturated and there's no need for somebody new in that space. Maybe your look is wrong. Maybe your brand is wrong. Maybe your approach to social media is wrong. Maybe you're posting the wrong kinds of content. Maybe, who knows? It can be anything. But you've got to take that first initial and crucial step of going, I know what I do is right. I know what I'm doing. But what I'm doing isn't working and I don't know how to fix it. Again, resources. There are a lot of information out there, but none of the information, none of the tools, nothing I can teach you as developing you as an artist is going to help you if you don't know who you are. If you can't look inside and take an audit of who you are as an artist, who you are as a business owner, who you are as a songwriter or producer, or who you are as a content creator, and realize that you're going to have to change what it is that you're doing, or the delivery, or the packaging in what it is that you're doing, you're not going to go anywhere. That packaging has got to change. And the first step, like I said, is admitting that to yourself. Once you figure out that it's not working, you go searching for what will work. And a lot of times that's trial and error. There's a record label in Nashville that it's a thriving record label. But I know that a lot of people in the industry used to kind of laugh at their model. And we've joked that, this guy's philosophy was just throw everything up against the wall. Sign 150 artists and release something on all of them. What sticks, what resonates with people, that's what we're going to put the big money behind. You can say to yourself, that's right or that's wrong, but in today's modern music business, that's exactly what you have to do. You have to keep trying. You can't force feed people what you want them to have or the sound that you want to create. Yes, you need to be unique. You need to be true to yourself. But if you want to engage a fan base and you want that fan base to turn around and engage with you, you've got to give them what you want, what they want. It's supply and demand. If you're the only one creating it and then demanding people like it, it's going to be lonely for you out there. I'm not saying sell out. I'm not saying go do exactly what this person's doing, exactly what that person's doing. But I think you should give it a shot. Be open to trying things. One of the examples that I use all the time is somebody that I think a lot of, and that is Ryan Upchurch. That guy, a lot of people don't like, country rap or hick hop, as they're calling it, from what I understand. It's not my thing, but I like him. You see what I'm saying? But he also does hard rock music. He does country music. He does what he wants. He does what his fans want. And his fans have come to realize and appreciate him, and there's millions of them out there. He doesn't have the mainstream success that a Florida Georgia Line has, but he doesn't need it. He's got a very loyal and engaged fan base that is huge. I mean, the guy's got millions of followers on YouTube, same on Instagram. He's selling out shows. He's selling out records in multiple different genres: rap, hip hop, country, rock. It's all there. And what I think is brilliant about what Ryan has done, and I want to have the guy on the podcast. I swear to God, I've reached out to his management and nobody has called me back. So I might need to hit him up on Instagram or something. I mean, he lives 5 minutes down the road. But what I love about what he's done is he took the conventional method of what everybody says that you're supposed to do, and he threw it out the window, and he realized, kind of like we were talking in the podcast the other day, is that the product he's selling is him. It's not the current single, the current video. He's selling him. And there are a lot of different facets that make up the Apurture brand. He figured that out. He figured it out at an early age. I'm 43. He's a hell of a lot younger than I am. But he figured it out, and it's paying off for him. He's that type of person that is not necessarily like the three types we're talking today. Because I'm sure at one point he was. But then he figured it out. And now he's that fourth type of person that knows exactly what they're doing and knows what they're doing is absolutely right. You too can get there. Right now, all of you fall into one of these three types of people. But you want to be that fourth type. The type that knows what you're doing and knows what you're doing is right, because you're getting that validation by growth. You know for a fact that you're not on the treadmill. Why? Because the scenery is changing. Maybe you walk a little bit and there starts to be an incline. You start to walk up a hill. You crest that hill and you start to walk down. The scenery starts to change. If you find yourself in a position where you are doing a lot, but not getting a lot done, and the scenery isn't changing, you're on the treadmill. Get off the treadmill. Take off those ridiculous running shoes and outfits that I see these people running up and down my neighborhood like they had to go shopping for a special outfit to go out and run. I don't get it. And guys are wearing shorts that just shouldn't be worn, but that's a topic for another podcast. I don't even want to get into the guys that ride bicycles. It's like, God's sake, please. I mean, do you have no self-esteem at all? It's like, anyway, like I said, another topic, another time. What type of person are you? Do you think you know what you're doing, but you don't? Maybe you don't know what you're doing at all, but think you do. Or maybe you know what you're doing, but you know what you're doing is wrong and you don't know how to fix it. The first step in being successful in moving into not being one of those types of people is to accurately identify where you fall. See where you stand, identify yourself, and then match that up with where you want to go and where you want to be. Because at the end of the day, there's nothing more frustrating than working your ass off and going nowhere. You can hustle all you want. You can grind all you want. You can listen to motivational speakers all day long on podcasts and on YouTube and Twitter and Instagram, and you can hashtag Motivation Mondays, and you can like those and you can comment. But if you're not moving forward, you're just on the treadmill. You'll get fit, but you won't go anywhere. And my goal for everybody, you watching at home, listening, is I want you to go where you want to go. I want you to see that destination. getting closer and closer and closer. Guys, thanks so much for listening, watching, whatever it is that you're doing and how you're consuming the podcast. Thank you for being here for another episode. We are having new episodes now. It's new this week, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. They will be uploaded to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, everywhere else you consume your audio podcast. Wednesdays, noon, Fridays, noon, Monday at noon. You can also catch it on YouTube or Twitch. We also are going to be live from now on Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. Central. So if you've got questions, I've got answers. We can chat live. It's going to be a lot of fun. We've been doing it on Tuesday nights for about the last 6 months. We're going to move it to Wednesdays now. And that's the Steve Freeman Podcast Live. It's simulcasts on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, and we're adding Instagram. If you're not following me on social media, guys, I ask that you do that as well. Stay in touch with me. Engage. It's at the Steve Freeman on every social media platform. If you haven't already, sign up for The Revolution, the free weekly newsletter full of tips, tricks, advice, life stuff, a lot of personal stuff. But it's another way that I can communicate with you guys, go a little bit deeper than the topics we cover here on the podcast. Guys, thank you for being here. And as always, keep being creative. Keep pressing the boundaries. And there's nothing wrong with being independent. See you in the next one.